Welcome to the post-week 6 power rankings for the Wooper Club Draft League. We are now two-thirds of the way through the season. Things are starting to come into shape a little bit more. And as always, I am Nate, coach of the Buffalo Bouffalant. I am joined by Steve, coach of the Waterdeep Wobbuffets.
Hello, everybody.
And we also have a nice special guest this time, and that is Matt, the coach of the Cincinnati Incineroar.
Hey, everyone.
Awesome. So we'll see why we have him on this time in just a little bit, but let's just get right to the power rankings. We do see a little bit of a shakeup here, a couple of moves, a couple of coaches moving up and down here, all aside from that top spot. So let's just, as always, start from the bottom with number 6, Kanto Kinglers, who faced off against the Seattle Steamrollers. They're starting to make a little bit of a move, but maybe the Kinglers in the wrong direction. Steve, why don't you take it away on this one?
Yeah, so Michael and his Kanto Kinglers brought a team of Pelipper, Kingler G-Max, Xatu, Zeraora, Seismitoad, and Skarmory to face off against Chad and his Seattle Steamrollers. We really all enjoyed this match, especially the first 45 turns of nothing. Switching, trying to gain control of the weather, trying to get a good setup sweeper in, but then the opponent, of course, had that one check to it that switched in, and really that was the game for 45 turns. There were some burns that happened during that time, but none of them on physical attackers. There were, notably on Michael's team, the Zeraora and Seismitoad both dropped to 50 or less percent, whereas other mons that dropped in health really had recovery options, so not much. I guess worth noting, Pelipper's red card was used up in this time, so it lost that trick. As we've kind of mentioned in the past with Michael, he of course brought the gimmicky sets, this time the Pelipper with Red Card, Soak, and Tailwind, along with Roost and Hurricane, a little bit more traditional, but Red Card to stop sweeps. Unfortunately, it activated early, just some random attack, so nothing there. Soak was interesting, set Zeraora up for good attacks on the Blissey until it was revealed that Zeraora was a special attacker in this matchup. Kind of a questionable choice. I get why, to get through the Corviknight, but then you're just walled by the Blissey. I think a mixed Zeraora might have been the call here, so that it could effectively use the special electric moves against Corviknight, while I believe it gets close combat to get through Blissey. As Nate kind of alluded to, Michael is on a 0-3 losing streak after a 3-0 open to the season, so kind of headed in the wrong direction. We'll definitely need to turn things around in the future here. He's got games coming up against the number 1 Waterdeep Wobbuffet, the Close Combat Club, and a bye. So has some opportunities here to secure his spot. Probably in a decent spot to make the playoffs. Probably does not have a shot at the top 2 spots, but maybe if he wins out and everything goes his way. But yeah, as for the battle itself, after things started falling apart, they fell apart. He was able to break the stall with Kingler, get in through Blissey, but then Chad was able to take advantages, and Michael lost his checks faster, and Chad was able to win. But yeah, that's how Michael's doing. You guys have anything to add?
Yeah, I definitely 100% agree with a mixer or being the set here, and even then it would have been tough for it to get through Venusaur, so I'm not really sure how much work that could have really put in. Maybe something weird like Blaze Kick to take advantage of the sun to try to get through Venusaur, but otherwise I'm not sure how great of a matchup that ended up being. I think overall nice maneuvering. He had multiple months with Roost on it among his 3 flying types, but Chad was just able to get his stuff up a little bit better because of the Roost on Corviknight, because of the Wish on Blissey, even able to get around the rocks that Michael had been setting up with the defog option on Corviknight and just getting the Wish on them even after taking the rocks chip. Overall, it was still good maneuvering for Michael, but I think he ended up going a little bit overboard with those weird sets. That red card Pelipper that you alluded to didn't really do much of anything, honestly. Probably just a more straightforward or standard set would have accomplished so much more there. Soak and Tailwind, cool ideas. Not sure how well they worked out in practice there. You have anything else to add, either of you?
Yeah, I have just one thing to add. Kingler, I hardly know her.
You got him. Yeah, shout out to getting your mascot pick. Always cool. Awesome. So that is our number 16, the Kanto Kinglers. We're going to move on to the next match, which was actually between the numbers 4 and 5 seeds. There was a little bit of separation between them, so even though the number 5 Akron Agrons did defeat the number 4 Summit County Psyducks, we still feel like there's a little bit of room in between the two, at least enough to justify keeping them where they are there. But a nice little leap for the Akron Agrons, obviously an upset win there over a Psyducks team that had just taken down the number 1 seed Wobbuffets. So pretty interesting there. Break it down a little bit more. Joey and the Akron Agrons brought a team of Lycanroc, Ribombee, Urshifu, Chansey, Rillaboom, and the Orbeetle G-Max, whereas Zach and the Psyducks brought Gengar G-Max, Rotom Heat, Rhyperior, Kyurem, Serena, and Bronzong. For Joey and the Akron Agrons, the winning team, Sticky Webs were so important for him. You look at Zach's team and it doesn't necessarily seem like it's all that fast, but he knew it was very important to slow down the Gengar and the Kyurem in particular, as well as that Serena having a Scarf, even though it was knocked off. That would have been very nice for it at all in the first place. It helped Rillaboom get a nice knockoff on it at all in the first place. So even though they got spun at one point, making sure that even though Ribombee went down, it was important for him to get those back up to ensure later things could sweep much more effectively. It helped facilitate things like the Urshifu very well to be able to get a nice couple of hits off there, and then I think definitely the outstanding point of the match was a great use of the Orbeetle G-Max, right? I remember him saying before the battle, the Orbeetle's really only there to take out the Gengar after rocks damage. It ended up being so much more than that. The G-Max Gravitas, setting Gravity, which is such a weird effect to take advantage of. You really only see it with things like Landorus, but in this case, he was able to set it, had it go down, and then Lycanroc came in, and Gravity with Stone Edge increased the accuracy. Oh, no. Oh my goodness, that was higher. That was hot. That was I can't believe how well that worked for him. That was great. Got 2 turns with Stone Edge being basically 100% accurate, and really helped nail that really great Lycanroc matchup that he had overall in the matchup. Especially once he got rid of the 2 rock resists on the team, Lycanroc just absolutely went in. A similar story, honestly, for the Rillaboom, who had a very good matchup, and those 2 rock resists, Rillaboom took advantage of very well, so he was just bringing in the right things at the right times to take advantage of those holes that he was creating in Zach's team. Just did a fantastic job overall with it. As for Zach, again, he kind of let his rock resist go down. It ended up taking a lot of unnecessary damage from some weird switching, but I think overall the sets that he brought were probably the right sets in general. For example, I really like the body press coverage on Bronzong. I thought that was a great bring to try and get through things like the Chansey. Fighting coverage in general being pretty nice overall for him. The Scarf Kyurem, obviously a great call there too. Basically outsped the rest of Joey's team, and then even in webs helped get him a little bit further ahead with that double Scarf there. Good Toxic, too, on the Rotom Heat. You know that it's going to be walled by some stuff, and if you're not going to be running a choice item and tricking it onto the Chansey, Toxic is probably the next best call that you have for it. So, again, overall, pretty good sets. Not bringing like the Vaporeon that he's really leaned on a lot because he knows the matchup against things like Chansey isn't that great, against Rillaboom isn't that great. So being able to leave something like that at home and still being okay with it is a good call. Obviously didn't end up working out, but I thought that was very important for him. So looking the rest of the way, we only have 3 weeks left. As we had looked at with Kanto Kinglers. The issue for the Akron Agrons is they have a very tough schedule ahead of them. The final 3 weeks are against our top 3 seeds. We've got number 2, number 3, number 1 in a row there, so definitely challenging for him. Again, I know he tends to be more of a second half team, so we'll see maybe he can get a nice little upset in there and shake up the top a little bit, but that's definitely going to be tough. Summit County Psyducks, though, not a very easy time either. They still have to face the 2 and 3 teams as well as the up-and-coming Seattle Steamrollers, so maybe all 3 of those bottom teams in a little bit of trouble with some tough matchups coming up. We'll kind of see how they're able to handle those. But trying to wrap up the matchup here a little bit, either of you have anything else that you would like to add to the Akron Agrons Summit County Psyducks match?
Yeah, the early pressure Rillaboom exerted in this match was huge. Just going in and throughout its first grassy terrain, just clicking knockoff and removing so many items and so much chip damage. Between the early knockoff and then, as you mentioned, the Orbeetle, even though not securing any KOs, doing huge chunks of damage and setting up Gravity, Joey's Lycanroc at the end was able to just come through and clean everything up, except what it didn't want to clean up, so Rillaboom could pick up a KO. That was intentional.
Very important, too. Rillaboom trying to get up there in the kill leaders, so...
Exactly.
Anything else for you, Matt?
Yeah, just that I want to reiterate that it's going to be a tough road ahead for the Akron Agrons, and I will be doing my part to make sure that that is the case, and I'm sure that the other folks on this call here will as well.
We certainly will. You can try and keep them down a little bit.
Yeah, but best of luck to him, as long as it doesn't mean beating me. So.
That's right. I don't know. I think
But
it'll definitely be a dogfight here at the end. You and me facing off, and we also have the 4 and 5 seeds. That'll be tough, but it'll be, I think, a lot of fun for everyone that gets to watch.
Yeah, gives us a good taste of the playoffs there. So.
Exactly. We'll see what all we want to end up bringing, just in case we do end up facing each other. So we'll see what kind of politics of sorts goes into that. But now we're going to move on to the number 3 team, and finally back into the top 3. It is your Buffalo Bouffalant. I love hearing Steve sing praises about me, so I'm going to let him take it away on this one.
Yeah. Nate in his Buffalo Bouffalant this week faced against Matt and his Cleveland Castforms, not the Matt joining us, the other one. Nate brought his team of Dragapult, Mew, Mantine, Sneasel, Colossal, and Volibee. In first spring of Colossal and Volibee, taken this matchup against a opponent who puts less effort in, tends to bring repeat teams and whatnot, and trying to get some of these lower tier mons their usage, and they were able to be quite effective, walling and poisoning the Dusclops, being able to trade with that pretty well. Good choice to use the low tiers here when it presented. Early on, Mew was up against Hydreigon and got to use the Dazzling Gleam. However, didn't even 2-hit KO through Aurora Veil, which was surprising, but interesting to see. I'm not sure if Hydreigon had any bulk or anything. It just wasn't expected. I would have honestly expected a 2-hit KO through Aurora Veil still. And that allowed Mew to go down. But Mew did its job, softening up Hydreigon enough to allow for an easy revenge kill. And from there, was able to break through the rest of the team. Took opportunities that were given to him by his opponent. Marowak Alola coming in on Sneasel, just saying, okay, I'll take this KO, thanks. Ferrothorn sitting in front of Dragapult, okay, I'll set up a substitute and Dragonance the +6, thanks. Taking what's given and doing what he can with it. Nate's got a fairly tough schedule still remaining, playing the number 2 Cincinnati Incineroar, number 4 Summit County Psyducks, and number 5 Akron Agrons. So a lot of the top opponents still remaining. So we'll see after those matches how things shape out. You guys have anything to add?
Sure. I think for me, a lot of it, the name of the game was just early pressure to force out the very scary threats. I know Nasty Blood Hydreigon was definitely something I was worried about in the Lapras. In G-Max form, setting up its own rain, setting up Aurora Veil was a big issue for me. So just to be able to get up like the quick rocks, thank you to Colossal for that, to get a little bit of pressure onto him and force those things out early. Even if I took a slightly negative trade, ended up working out in the end, because just getting those big things out of the way meant that the rest of the team could really work. Really like the Sneasel matchup again in this time around. So very cool to be able to see things like that, and the Volibee be able to put in a little bit of work. And honestly, just stalling out screens was so important, and having Dragapult to take advantage of some of the calcs that I'd seen before really came through in the end there for me. Shout out to Dragapult for taking over the kill lead as well. I know you all are a little bit salty about that, but has to be said.
I will just say that, given that Cramorant did not have an opportunity to take some names this week, there's not much I can do. So enjoy it while it lasts.
That is definitely important, and it is actually a pretty nice segue here into our number 2 team as of right now, and that is the Cincinnati Incineroar, who did not get to play this week, unfortunately. He had a bye week here, so I thought it might be nice to kind of have Matt come on and talk a little bit about the team, the road ahead, and what we've got in store for the last 3 weeks or so. So, Matt, if you'd like to just take it away and talk to us a little bit about how your season has been and everything.
Yeah, it's been a fun season so far, and I made a couple trades early on. Haven't gotten a chance to talk about that on here, but I had Grimmsnarl made a whole lot of noise about how I wasn't planning on keeping it. A lot of people thought that I might bring it to at least one match anyway, but ended up just dumping that for Primarina, which actually gives me a few points left over. So I could even, trade something else for another tier up, but at this point with the trade deadline 1 week out, who knows what I'm going to do. Maybe I will, maybe I won't, but yeah, it's a fun team. Kramer in particular, which was kind of an accidental pick, has been super fun. Its 5-1 record is from one game, and I honestly did not plan for it to be my big sweeper that match, but thought that it helped me put my opponent into some uncomfortable positionings, I guess. So I think I've got some solid cores, and then we love my starters, especially Galar starters and water type starters. Hashtag trade Matt Rillaboom.
And also, up for grabs.
Yeah, Clefable is officially on the market. I wouldn't do it for anything else, but to give me all 3 of the Galarian starters might be worth it. Yeah, basically, Goodra is my kill leader. It's been amazing. Physical Goodra has been the move for a long time, but Special has made an appearance. And so I think, its versatility has really helped me to just take KOs in any kind of matchup, and that reflects in the record. Cramorant is fun, although now with 3 water types, we'll have to see if I ever end up in a situation where I can justify bringing it, because Inteleon is super fun as well, and then I haven't gotten the chance to bring Primarina yet, so I have to do that still. Luxray has yet to come to a game, so that will be happening soon. But yeah, who's to say what my plans are for that? And yeah, that's all I really got to say. Like I said, it's a fun team. I think that a lot of it gels well together, and it's been a lot of fun using it.
Absolutely. I've seen very good use of the Clefable, the Goodra, as you had mentioned. Even the Dhelmise has put in a good amount of work. I love that mon. It's very cool to see. The ability to rapid spin on a ghost type is super unique and interesting there. What else do you have to add on the team so far, Steve?
Matt's been performing great ever since his week 1 severe loss to me. Just figured I'd bring that up.
Yeah.
But yeah, been real impressed with the rest of the season. He's been winning out since then, winning how he should, doing great. Excited to see what comes in the rest. He does have a difficult season remaining. Although he's currently at number 2, he has matchups against the number 3 Buffalo Bouffalant, number 4 Summit County Psyducks, and number 5 Akron Agrons remaining. So definitely the possibility for a shakeup here between these. Honestly, everyone in the top 6, but especially these middle 4 in the top 6. A lot of them haven't played each other yet, so it'll be fun to see how they all shake down once the dust settles.
Just this upcoming week here, we've got 2 versus 5, with Matt taking on Joey and the Agrons, and I at the Bouffalant will be taking on the Psyducks. So 2v5, 3v4. Very cool to say. Again, possible playoff implications here and possible previews of matchups, so very cool to see. Alright, and with all that out of the way, we're going to get to, once again, if there was any doubt at all, going back to the Waterdeep Wobbuffets at number 1 yet again. Oh, yeah. Unfortunately, having beaten the only other 2 teams with 1 loss, that being me and Matt, I could really see no other team that it could be other than Steve and the Wobbuffets. He just faced off against the Close Combat Club, brought a team of Aegislash, Lycanroc, Sylveon, Scyther, Venusaur, and Flygon, and had a very impressive 4-0 victory. I guess to start things off, the Aegislash, although it kind of went down without getting a KO, took a ton of damage to the Snorlax. G-Max form took 88% from a close combat, which was really cool to see, and got a lot of chip on a tank. Not just a tank, but I think a very necessary tank, considering what happened a little bit later there, too. Aegislash was the original Amoonguss answer, carrying safety goggles. Really liked that. However, I also appreciate the ability to identify Venusaur as a second great tank, or answer to the Amoonguss. It really wasn't taking much from it. Especially once you're able to remove the Amoonguss's recovery option to force it to be able to have to switch out. It really didn't have a great way through it, considering the resist Keldeo steps. Haxorus was struggling to get through it and was put to sleep, so Venusaur ended up putting in a ton of work there too. A couple very interesting sets that would have been cool to see if they were able to work. I saw it substitute on Flygon. I'm assuming Roost was another option on there too, which is a very cool set. Unfortunately, it kind of gets stonewalled by the Slowbro, but with that, you're still able to pivot around everything. Similarly, I know the Scarf Sylveon was a very cool set that unfortunately didn't get to work. Nice little option for the Haxorus and for the Keldeo. The only things, I believe, on the team that would have naturally outsped it, both weak to the Hyper Voice, so that would have been very cool if that was able to work out. But as it turns out, all you really needed was some Chip on Lax, ended up just going down, and a Swords Dance, and Scyther just kind of went in. Great recognition of that, honestly. Be able to see that the 2 stabs cover his normal Regenerator core of Slowbro and Amoonguss, and just able to take it to town, especially Golurk coming in on the dual wing beats, something we weren't actually able to OHKO, suddenly became a KO on that. Just need a little bit of chip on a couple of things. The Haxorus was down a little bit lower, got the chip on the Golurk, Snorlax was down, bam, Scyther goes in. It's that easy, able to identify that properly, and just made it work. So super congratulations on that 4-0 win to keep you in the number 1 spot. What else do you have to say about your matchup?
Yeah, you touched on the flag, and I figure I'll touch on it a little more. I know John had been bringing Ice Beam on Slowbro, and I wasn't sure if he would again. He did. Without the Ice Beam, I think Flagon had a chance. Takes about 30% from a Scald and was carrying a Lumberry just to get away from those burns. So it had a chance to break through Slowbro. Yeah, Slowbro was a terrible matchup for it still, as was the Snorlax. But I did see that John's team had 0 resists or immunities to ground, and clicking Earthquake did look quite promising.
Definitely.
But that's also the reason for the Earth Power on Venusaur. It's such a safe move against John's team right now after trading away his 2 flying types. So.
Fair enough, yeah. And Earth Power on the special side is helping against the Slowbro a little bit more than Earthquake on the physical side, I suppose. But you really can't put that much pressure onto just a Slowbro. Anything else that you'd like to add here, Matt?
Yeah, just that, obviously the Waterdeep Wobbuffets were coming off of an upset loss last week, and, he didn't let that get to him this week. He showed that, that was definitely a fluke, not a slowing down in the way that they do business. With another dominant win here, and even though Close Combat Club hasn't been reflected in our top rankings here, I don't think that means that it's an easy matchup necessarily by any means. And so to come out with the 4-0 and just kind of be winning it basically every turn of that match, as it's yet another testament to how dominant this team has been this season. It's obvious by this point that their draft is pretty incredible, and the way that they're able to put it together every single week is very impressive. And so, looking forward to seeing this team in the playoffs, if not the finals. I don't think there's any doubt in my mind that they go undefeated the rest of the season here. But we'll be looking forward to see how they do in those matches.
Absolutely. And for the record, he does have the Kanto Kinglers this upcoming week, followed by the Cleveland Castforms off of the list, and then rounding things up to the Akron Agrons on the list. A little bit of a grudge match there, perhaps, but a little bit easier schedule than the rest of us, I suppose, but still not a cakewalk by any means. So that's where we're at right now, 1 through 6. Again, we have the 50 season we're to end right now. We've got the Wobbuffets, the Incineroar with buys, although the Incineroar and Bouffalant have yet to play. We may even be even, I think, right now in the plus-minus, so that'll pretty much end up coming down to if we end up losing one of the next couple weeks and or the head-to-head matchup there, which I think will be much more important. Steve and the Wobbuffets already have the advantage, having beaten both of us in head-to-heads, so I think a much easier path ahead to getting that first-round bye, especially considering that we have yet to play each other, the 2 and 3 seeds. Anything else that you guys want to chip in on concerning rather the playoff race ahead with 3 weeks left to go?
I'll just add that anyone can still be in this. Some teams have easier paths than others into the playoffs, but with 3 weeks left, and the bottom team in the rankings being 3-3 right now, and everyone has a chance to get in still. It could be an uphill battle for some, but it's still anyone's game.
Yeah. Absolutely. After this week, though, if Kanto Kinglers wins, then any of those teams in the bottom there.
Sure, it gets a lot tougher. I would like to shout out the SAL Steamrollers, too, who have won a couple in a row here and have a somewhat easier battle forward, I believe, against another one of the unranked teams, followed by his free bye week, and then up against the Summit County Psyducks at the end. So there could be probably the best chance forward for one of the other teams to make it in. But again, no one is eliminated at this point.
I'll also add that that possibility of the Canto Kinglers winning this week, you don't need to consider it.
Fair enough.
True.
Well, I think that is going to do it then. We've got all of our top teams playing each other 1v6, 2v5, and 3v4. So let's see what happens next week. Who slides up, who slides down. Even if all the matchups go the way you think they might, depending on plus minus, depending on how everyone's doing, we may try to change things up a little bit in the power rankings. So please come back next week for that. Thank you for guest starring here today, Matt, and we will see you in the post-week 7 power rankings. See ya.